Today we're going to talk about roots. Last time we talked about roots, we were talking about the parts of a root. But today I want to talk about kinds of roots. Now, first, let's think back to remember some of the jobs of the root. What does the root do? Remember, the root system is the part that's under the ground, but it's very important. One of the main jobs of the roots is to hold the plant in place. So, like this chart shows us, a little fancifully, but shows us the roots sort of nailing that tree in place. Imagine this tree without those roots. Imagine how easy it would be for an animal, a wind, anything to knock it right over. It's so big and top heavy. But the roots, you see, balance out what's going on up here and hold it into the ground. So that's why we have imagined these people hammering the roots into the ground. But it holds the plant right there in place. So holding the plant in place is one of the important jobs of the root. And of course, another important job of the root is to pull water and minerals, nutrients, up from under the ground, from the soil, through the process of respiration, but basically like a straw, a sponge absorbing, moving right up through the trunk of the tree, the stem of the plant, pulling water and nutrients up so that the rest of the plant can do their job, and then it also has vessels for bringing the nutrients made in the rest of the plant back down to the root, so it goes both directions. Now we're very familiar with certain types of roots. We talk a lot about carrots being roots. So I'm just got a picture of a carrot. You've all seen a carrot. You know what a carrot looks like. And of course, a root like a carrot is very, very fat. Roots like radishes, beets, carrots, parsnips. These are all part of the root system of a plant. They're notable because we're very familiar with them because we eat them. They have a lot of nutrition. That's why they're so fat. They're holding the nutrition for the plant so that it can be used in the second phase of its life, but we catch them before they get to that phase, and they're delicious and nutritious for us. Now, when we see a carrot that we've bought at the farmer's market or the grocery store, even grown in our own garden, we usually just see mostly that great big root. And that's because when a carrot is harvested, it gets pulled out of the ground, and any other smaller roots, bits of the roots, the root hairs, as we talked about in our first lesson about roots, those get ripped right out. They're very delicate. They're very small. This type of root, though, is called a taproot. I'm going to show you some examples. Usually I would be drawing on our board at the same time that I'm showing you examples, but I really want you to be able to see these examples on the film. So I put a black cloth over the board. So I'm going to show you first, and then I will write these things out. But a taproot is like a carrot, a very big main root. So this is actually a piece of fennel that I pulled out of our garden this morning. It's getting a little droopy. But you can see that there is one main root. And I think you can also see, I'm going to try and get in front of there we go. I think you can also see those smaller roots that are growing off the side of the taproot. So this is a plant that's got a taproot root system. The taproot is the big main root here. And these little roots across the sides, those are the lateral roots. If the taproot was the only part of the root, it wouldn't hold in the soil as well. Also, the lateral roots do most of the absorbing of moisture, so they are very important. A taproot, as you can see, goes very deep. So if this is my fennel plant, here's the part, I'm going to move back so you can see, here's the part that's growing above the ground, and here's most of the part that was growing below the ground. I dug as deep as I could. I can see that I still broke off a little bit. It probably went down to about here. So it goes very deep for such a short little plant, such a small little plant. It goes very deep. Taproots are very good for getting to water that is deeper down under the ground. So that is the first kind of root that we have now. Some taproots, like a carrot, are very obvious. Some, like this fennel, are pretty easy to see too. This is the root of a dandelion that I also pulled out this morning. This is a little harder to see, that main root, but it's there. You still can see it. You can see it especially up here at the more mature part of the root. Then we've got a lot of lateral roots, but in there you can still see that there is one big, thicker root that runs through, and then all these lateral roots are coming off of it. Again, the lateral roots help to anchor it in. This one has a lot of lateral roots, which is good because it's much taller. It doesn't go as deep. This one maybe broke off a little bit at the bottom. This one has less of a depth of the taproot, but it goes out very wide with the lateral roots that are a part of the taproot. So I'm going to put the dandelion and the fennel right next to each other there. These are the same type of root, just different examples of it, along with our carrot. That's a taproot. That's one kind of root, and it's a very common type of root you will see with most dicots, which would be when we were talking about leaves, we talk about having parallel veins or netted veins. A netted vein is a dicot. Most dicots have taproots. Then we've also got this type of root. This is the other type of root. So we've got two main types of roots. Just showing you two parts of the taproot. These are called fibrous roots. So this is grass that I also dug out in the front there. The fibrous roots, there is no single main root. It's almost like hair under the ground, right? So these are fibrous roots. They lay much closer to the surface, much higher up in the soil. They're very, very good at holding on to the soil. So when you are wanting to keep soil in place, keep erosion from happening, you would be looking for something that has more fibrous roots generally, or at least a combination, because they hold the soil very, very effectively. They are also capable of absorbing moisture much closer to the surface. So where a root like this, the plan is let's get down very deep so we can absorb water way down, which can work very well for this type of plant. For this type of plant with the fibrous roots, the idea is let's catch the rain when it's there. It's harder for a plant like this to survive a long drought, but it can survive very well with short, light waterings. So sprinkles will do well for a plant like this, bring it right back. So those are our fibrous roots. Again, a taproot has one main root and then has lateral roots coming off of that. Fibrous roots are lots of little roots. There's no main root going on at all. So I'm going to now draw, and the reason being, you are going to draw also. So let's just draw what we talked about. So these are types of roots. Types of roots. And remember, there are two types of roots we're talking about today. So I'm going to draw, here's going to be that's my soil. And I'm going to put a line right through here just to separate my pictures. I'm putting my soil nice and high because what I'm looking at here is the roots. I'm just going to, for my shoot system, I'm just going to do a little bit of that. There, that's it. And here, we're going to be grass. So simple. No, I'm not worried about that part at all. But my root system here, I'm going to make a taproot. I'm going to make it a bit long because remember, a taproot wants to reach in deep, deep, deep into the soil. But a taproot is not alone down there. It's got its lateral roots to help it. The lateral roots hold the soil, absorb the moisture. Sometimes they cross over each other. And you will still get some down here. Down here you'll have the root tip that's still growing. So I'm going to put a mark here, and I'll do it here. I'll do tap root, just the way it sounds, very phonetic, tap root. And I'm going to put a little arrow right to the main part of my root. Now, I did not draw it way over here and put an arrow all over the place. Just put it right next to your root. Little arrow, very close. Lateral root. The lateral roots are those little skinny ones growing out of the taproot. And so I'm going to take, again, a short little arrow right to one of my little skinny roots. There. I'm done with that one. Fibrous roots are even easier. They are a tangle of roots. Just a little tangle down here. They're going to be much higher because they function closer to the surface. Fibrous roots, F-I-B, okay, like fib, okay, Rus, R-O-U-S. And I can just write fibrous roots because there's no difference. All the fibrous roots, I'm going to make it a plural because here's the taproot system with the taproot and the lateral roots, but I'm pointing to one, so I'm making it singular. This is all fibrous roots. This is a plant with fibrous roots. That is one of your assignments. Very simple. This is an easy drawing. You guys are very capable of that. But I'm also going to give you, to help you review and for spelling and just to read a little bit on it too, you have this green piece of paper. All right. And you should have 3 pieces of paper with root things. One is the word cards from our matching 3-part cards here. And then 2 pages that have images. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut them. You're going to cut each of them out. So you'll have 3 separate pictures. Then you will cut out each one of these descriptions and each one of these labels. They are mixed up on purpose. Just read. If you read them, you will see which picture goes with which description and which word. I would like you to glue them onto your green paper. And I would like you to, on a separate sheet of paper, you could put it on the back if you wanted to, or you could just do it separately. I'd like you to take a piece of paper and draw lateral roots and fibrous roots. Drawing them actually helps you to cement them in your mind, to understand them. And I think that's it. Okay, thank you for joining me for this lesson about types of roots.